Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to Queen Ahmadiyyah TV presents More Than Meets the Third Eye. So if you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you have not done so already, be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, looks like that color was a little off. Okay. So, hello everyone, and thanks for joining me in the chat. Okay, it looks like everybody's not here yet. You know how YouTube messes up my times and all of that. They don't send out notifications. So let me just check and see if they have it posted at the right time. Okay. And while I'm doing that, we can wait for some more people to tune in. Let me see here. Everyone, please make sure that you like and share the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell. Okay, Pinocchio and the Mystery Teachings. Now, like I told you all before, Pinocchio is absolutely about the pineal gland, okay? Make sure I have all my slides on here. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, the name Pinocchio, I might need my glasses. The name Pinocchio is already an allusion to the pineal gland. That is the physical manifestation of the third eye, the pin eye, or the pineal eye. Now, a piece of wood, a puppet precisely, to which a soul is blown and comes to life, by which various initiatory tests will eventually become the true child, i.e. your true self, people. Pay attention, your true self, all right? When you open the pineal gland, the optic thalamus, the third eye. Thank you, LeVar Beloved. Says, Queen, I thought you said pineal gland. I was like, oh, she nasty. Pineal gland. No, absolutely not. You are wrong for that. No, the pineal gland. Let me emphasize and reiterate. Okay, so when Pinocchio in the story becomes the true child, that is akin to us becoming our true selves, our godlike selves, and which I've taught you before, that as the Kundalini energy rises up to 33 vertebrae of the spine and activates, that energy activates the third eye, the optic thalamus, the pineal gland, then you become your godlike self, which is your true self. It is not in our true nature to be nefarious, wicked, evil, low vibrational, any of those things, to be fearful. None of those things does the Most High give us. We are supposed to be always in our godlike self. We have to reach that level by enlightening ourselves, raising our levels of consciousness, and raising our vibrational frequency, okay? Now, he goes through various initiatory tests, which eventually becomes a true child. It is easy to understand that the piece of an animated wood, or the piece of animated wood endowed with life, therefore, but without will, you know, having free will, as a puppet, this is an allegory of the lower self. While the true child, Bambian or Jesus Christ, right? This is who he's in reference to, represents the birth of Christ in man or higher self. Now, of course, the talking cricket, the cat and the fox, those are astral body and mental body. They represent those things. And all of the various characters and situations of the story all have an esoteric, hidden, and profound meaning, of which I'm about to explain to you. Now, first of all, you know, I love to talk about the Zodiac. I talk to you about the universe, you know, about the Southern Crux, or the Southern Cross. That is one of the smallest constellations, but it is the most prominent or the most, you know, the one that's most viewed or recognized because it's shaped like a cross. I talked to you about the Zodiac wheel before, right? And how the house of the Zodiac is in the Bible, when they talk about the house of many mansions, in my house are many mansions, or in my father's house are many mansions, that is all representative of the houses of the Zodiac. Now, with that all being said, the story of Pinocchio references these things as well. You see, when they talk about the cat and the fox causing mischief in the story, that represents Gemini, okay? And then when they talk about the water initiation, or when he's in the boat, that represents Cancer. And then you go on and on. All of the things in this story, even when the almost drowning, that is representative of Pisces, okay? Monstro, that's the third eye initiation. Sagittarius. So all of these things in the story of Pinocchio, in the Disney version of Pinocchio, represents things pertaining to the Zodiac. All right. Never knew this about Pinocchio. Learn something new every day from this channel, Empress. Thank you, Melanated Brown. And as I told you, you will find that all of the fairy tales and all of the nursery rhymes have their allegories for things that pertain to either life circumstances, the Bible, and things that pertain to your mentality, like your mind, your pineal gland, or not the pineal gland specifically, but your mind, your higher self, and consciousness, and things like that. Beatzilla said, makes sense. Thank you, beloved. Okay, now, how Pinocchio relates to the pineal gland. Pinocchio. Now, the person who wrote the story of Pinocchio is Italian. So, therefore, Pinocchio is an Italian name. And it actually means Pinocchio is pine plus occhio. Pine equals pineal, gland equals tree vision, and it equals green seed. Now, if you're wondering what green seed is, it's basically that our pineal gland is in charge of our higher consciousness, and it is also, it pertains to how we view nature. Because remember, we have a direct connection to the universe and to nature. And I've shown you video, pictures before of how Black people, when we have locks in our hair, that is very similar to the roots of a tree. And when you wear an afro, that is also very similar to how the leaves sprout and grow from a tree. We are connected to nature. And in fact, you will find that the makeup of a plant is almost exactly as the makeup of yourself. Okay, wake, sleep cycles. Now, the suffix occhio means eye, to see, in the word Pinocchio, in that name. Occhio means eye, to see. Okay, now pine plus occhio equals tree vision and green seed, as I've already told you. This also includes the pineal gland, also known as the third eye. This gland is located in the head and is associated with wake-sleep cycles of a person, as well as the control of the seasons. Why does it have control of the seasons? Because, again, we are connected to nature. Now, also, another thing to take note of, I don't know if I brought this, pointed this out when I showed it to you. You see this picture right here of the two pine cones? Now, you see how the pine cone right here is closed off? That's a sleeping human. That is akin to a sleeping human. And then right here, where it's like sprouted open, the pineal glands and pine cones, because the pineal gland is shaped like a pine cone. And you'll see that symbolisms of that on the ancient walls of Kemet. You know, the Egyptians, they were known for, talking about how the pine cone was shaped like that part in your brain. And that's why it's called the pineal gland. That's where they actually get the word pineal from pine. Okay. And here you can see that it's sprouted. That means that it is opened, as in the third eye opening. And I want you to pay attention, because when they say the pineal gland is located in the head and is associated with the wake-sleep cycles of a person, as well as control of the seasons, pay attention to wake-sleep cycles. That is why they say you are woke. When you are using and have activated your pineal gland, i.e. the optic thalamus, that is when they say, and this is why they say you are woke. Okay? Now, the pineal gland is a pea-sized gland shaped like a pine cone. And as you can see this image right here, it is shaped like a pine cone, okay? That is representative of the pineal gland. Now, it is located in the vertebrate brain near the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. Now, the hypothalamus is what gives you your sense of cravings, like you want to eat. You know, like if you there's a diet that people take, a fast. It's called the lemonade fast by Stanley Burroughs. During the process of taking the lemonade fast, which I've done several times, yes, that's right, Queen. Most of these fairy tales and cartoons have some type of allegorical message, symbol, or meaning. Yes, beloved, Cass. And thank you for your contribution and your insight into the topic, beloved. Now, with that all being said, the hypothalamus, when you take the lemonade diet, if you've ever taken that fast, it actually reprograms the hypothalamus, okay? Because at the beginning of the fast, it may seem like it's hard to do, but I've taken it a couple of times, and as the days progress, it gets easier and easier to fast during this diet, because it is reprogramming the hypothalamus. Now, I'm not a doctor, and again, I'm not giving you medical advice. Let me say that. All right. So, also known as the third eye, it is a revered tool of seers and mystics and considered to be the organ of supreme universal connection. And as I told you, we are connected directly to the universe, i.e. the Most High. Now, its significance appears in every ancient culture throughout the world. For example, in the Ayurvedic philosophy, the third eye is represented by the Ajna chakra. And now when they talk about your Ayurvedic, that is over in India. They have even holistic medicines called, I believe it's called Ayurveda or something like that, right? You can look that up on a website where they sell all this holistic stuff. But the third eye is represented over there by the Ajna chakra. And in ancient Egypt, the symbol of the eye of Horus mirrors the placement of the pineal gland in the profile of the human head. Okay, that is what the eye of Horus represents. Now, the third eye is connected to clarity, concentration, imagination, and intuition. This pine cone third eye idea stretches back through time to ancient history and across many numerous cultures. Now, used in religion. So the pineal or pine cone has been used symbolically in various ways, including religious artifacts and architecture. And as you can see here at the top of this, I guess this is a synagogue. As you see the top of it, that is shaped like a pine cone also. Okay. Even over here with Buddha, you can see representations of the pine cone. Okay, so let me continue. Everyone, please be sure to get those likes up. Please like and share. Now, are you a puppet on a string? Now, mystical wisdom tells us we get real control over our script when we become more conscious of our own creative capacity. We can allow ourselves to be a marionette controlled by the invisible contents of our unconscious drives, or we can take charge of our life. We can become a god, creating and living a story of our own choosing. Now, so let me tell you about that. When they talk about, we can be a marionette and controlled by the invisible content of our own unconscious drives. Let me tell you something, because people do this all the time. Yes, triggers. Exactly, Rain Love. People do this all the time. Let me give you an example. When you worry about something that may or may not happen and it hasn't happened yet, and you're just worrying, you are, this hasn't occurred yet, and you don't know if it even will. It's really invisible at this point, because it could or could not happen. But the more you focus your thoughts and energy onto it, you will likely manifest these things. So that's why I always tell you, when you're thinking about things, try to think positive. Even if it seems like a bad situation, try to look at the bright side, the positive side of it, because you unwittingly can manifest these bad things. And if you're complaining about the bad that's going on in your life, such as, oh, I'm sick, or I'm broke, my relationship is not going to, survive, my marriage is falling apart. If you continually focus your energies on those things, these energies become reality. These thoughts become reality. Okay? Because thoughts are energy, and you can manifest them and create your own doom, or you can create your own success. Because when you become a god, which means you've raised the energy, from the spine, the solar plexus, up until the optic thalamus, and you have become enlightened. Now you understand the power of manifestation and the power of the mind. And in the Bible, it says, whatsoever man thinketh, that so he is. So if you're thinking negative thoughts, you will have a negative outcome. If you think positively, you will have a positive outcome. Okay. And if someone says, well, I think positive, but still negative stuff happens, let me tell you something. You're not thinking positive. You're not thinking positive 100%, because at the end of the day, sometimes we try to think positive, but there's so much noise and so much things going on in our mind. We still focus unwittingly on negative things. We're like, okay, I want this to happen, but what if it doesn't happen? And when you do that, you're sending these signals out to the universe. The universe doesn't know if this is what you want or you don't want. All the universe knows is this is what you're thinking and focusing your energies on. Now, the puppet's name is intriguing. Pino, P-I-N-O. Pino is Italian for pine, and Occhio means eye. Now, our third eye is associated with the pineal gland, the name of which derived from the fact that it looks like a pine cone. Now, in ancient Assyrian carvings, guardian angels used pine cones to sprinkle lustral water on the king, as well as on the sacred tree. That's why they talk about the green visions, right? Greening visions. They talk about the sacred trees, like the tree of life. That's what they're referencing, right? Now, though the ancient Cometians, the Egyptians, they were the first to discover the meaning of the pineal gland, the third wisdom, or the third eye. Open your third eye. Now, opening the third eye allows us to see reality in all of its glory. Perhaps the author of this favorite children's story, Carlo Collodi, born in 1826 to 1890, had picked up on some of the esoteric ideas while working for a manuscript specialist in Florence. Now, after all, Pinocchio's journey takes him from a robotic or mechanical life to a fully fledged one in which he knows how to be truly himself. How to be truly himself. That means through this journey of Pinocchio's life, all the different twists and turns, all the different characters he encountered, all of the lies he told, and all the things that he got into, all of the mischief, that all taught him how to become his true self. Temptations. Now, basically, a good lad, and this is talking about Pinocchio in the story. Basically, a good lad who wants to please even while full of mischief. Pinocchio often gets tempted by bad companions, like the fox and the cats, and he is prone to lying. His nose becomes longer and longer whenever he starts fibbing, and early on in the story, Pinocchio is visited by a fairy, and he promises to become a real boy. He gets trapped in the land of toys where he is transformed into a donkey. He joins a circus and eventually becomes a puppet again. But when he returns back to the workshop, Geppetto is gone. Now remember, Geppetto is the man who created him. Now Pinocchio has to track him down and rescue the old man from a sea monster. The fairy visits Pinocchio again and reassures him he has won the freedom to become a real boy. Now, with that all been said, we talk about temptations because temptations are things that you clearly shouldn't be doing, but sometimes you cannot help it. You just, have to try it. You just have to do it or whatever. You may be pressured into trying it or doing it by friends. People may tempt you purposely just to throw you off track and to, take away your focus. And when you do these things, you're not acting in your God-like self, okay? And so that was the whole purpose of that part of the story, as telling Pinocchio, that he had to become his true self. Stop falling for the mischief or the trickery of the fox and the cats and all of these other, characters that he encountered. And stop telling these lies. You have to live your truth, right? And that's what he had to learn along the way. Now, face your fears. In this magical tale, we see all the ingredients of a hero's journey. The fairy is a guiding light, like the spirit guides that I told you about, which are your ancestors. We call them angels. Whatever you call them, spirit guides, angels, just the ancestors, whatever. Those are the beings that are connected to you and throughout your life, and they are in the spiritual realm, but they come to the physical plane to guide you and to protect you. They call them guardian angels. These are not angels with wings, as some people would like to think. No, these are simply the energies left behind from the ancestors after the avatars have returned to the dust. The avatars meaning our bodies, the shell that encases and encloses our soul and our spirit. When that, is dead, it decays and goes back to the dust from whence it came. But your soul, your spirit live on forever because that is energy, and energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Now, the fairy is a guiding light. Also, when you think of guiding lights, think about orbs of energy. They can be good or bad. Pay attention, because I told you before when we talked about orbs that they can be angels, ancestors, spirit guides, or they can be demons. They can be wicked, because even the devil can masquerade as an angel of light. So, and don't forget his name is Lucifer, which means to illuminate, right? Now, the fairy is a guiding spirit like the guardian angel or a demon, or a daemon, as they pronounce it. Now, the encounter with the sea monster represents the descent into the unconscious. Now, the dangerous journey every hero needs to undertake in order to face their own fears. So basically, the part of the story where Pinocchio is trying to save Geppetto from the sea monster, that's a journey or a descent into the unconsciousness realm where you have to face your fears, you know, and so you can enter into your true self. Because remember, God does not give us the spirit of fear. So you have to conquer your fears in order to become your true God-like self. Now, an initiation. Pinocchio could symbolically represent the story of an initiation. As a wooden puppet, you know, a symbol of the mechanics of the person who aspires to find their soul. An allegory of the lower self that tends to shape itself to become a human being who experiences emotions and therefore gets better. Are they neither more nor less, therefore, than the alchemical process, and in the same way, the Masonic path from initiation to the last degree, the 33 degrees of Masonry. Okay, so basically, the things that Pinocchio went through in the story, the different events that happened to him, all of the bad things, the good things, him telling all those lies and lying about who he was and not being him true self, that was like an initiation. You have to go through an initiation process to get to where you're trying to reach your higher self, right? And they talk about masonry because, you know, the Masons have to go through an initiation. All secret societies, there's an initiation process. And, you know, they have the 33 degrees of Masons, which I told you 33 is very significant as it pertains to numerology. You had Jesus died at the age of 33 in the Bible. You have the 33 vertebrae up the spine. 33 is a very significant number. So now, the Masonic path from initiation to the last degree, which would be the 33rd. Now, the piece of wood would represent the raw stone, which in masonry must be chamfered and worked with the tools typical of the stonemasons, very similar also to those of Geppetto. Okay, so this is basically giving you some insight into the secret societies. Like, who knew Pinocchio was telling you this information? Very similar also to those of Geppetto, and which also are found symbolically in the Masonic lodges. Now, in the course of the story, Pinocchio was repeatedly deceived by the cat and the fox, who represent the seductions of the illusory material world, illusory material world that distract man on his path to enlightenment. Now, this is a very good point here. See, in the story, the cat and the fox were always tricking him, playing, you know, games, trying to distract him, throw him off of focus. These are the things that we go through in life. I want you to pay attention, because when in life you start trying to wake up from the slumber, you know, from the deception, the brainwashing, the cognitive dissonance, the Stockholm syndrome, the things that we've been taught to keep us mentally enslaved, when you start waking up from those things, you will be met with opposition. Much of the opposition you will be met with are people, friends and family, people that you deal with directly every day. And the reason you'll have, you know, these issues with them is because many of them do not want to wake up from the slumber. They are blissful in their ignorance. They are complicit in their own demise. Like, some people don't want to know the truth because the truth is too much for them. To some people, the truth sounds crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to people because they are foolish. Foolish people cannot accept truth for what it in fact is. They deny the truth. They will call people who speak it crazy or conspiracy theorists. And so when you are trying to awaken these people who want to stay asleep, they enjoy the slumber, they'll try to pull you back in. They'll try to distract you, talk down on you, give you negative reinforcement instead of positive. And they will do things like offer you liquor, you know, drugs, you know, do all types of things to throw you off track as to what you're supposed to be doing. B. Silla says ScrewTube is tripping on this channel right now. I bet they are, because this is all stuff they don't want you to know. That's all that is. Stuff they don't want you to know. They're clearly pressed. Now, Matthew 6:22-23 says, the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. And I've told you this numerous of times. Okay, right. Renewed mindfulness says have to unlearn everything. Yes. So now the body, the light of the body is the eye, and that being the third eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body is full of light. That means if you're using the single eye, which is the third eye, I like to call it the first eye. Your body is full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? So when you have these, basically saying that, you know, you have people who are low vibrational, such a low frequency, always miserable, always engaging in mischief, always talking down, never seeing the optimistic view of life, never thinking or speaking positively for the most part, always pessimistic and so negative. Those people are full of darkness. And if you are a person who's full of light and you have the light of God in you and you are trying to operate in your God-like self, and if you are trying to raise your vibrational frequency, you don't want to be around these people full of darkness. You see, the thing about it is you cannot live your best life. You cannot live a positive life when you continuously engage with negative people who are full of darkness, because they will, in fact, inevitably dim your own lights. Now, metamorphosis. Now, the episode, for example, of his transformation into a donkey, in the esoteric terms, indicates that he is closer to his material dimension than to the spiritual one, personified by this stubborn animal. This part of the story is a clear literary reference to Apulelo and his work, titled The Metamorphosis, or Golden Donkey, a classic studied in mystery schools and also in Masonic lodges. Now, if you have not read The Metamorphosis, and as you know, metamorphosis means to make a change. You know, a butterfly, not a butterfly, but a caterpillar metamorphosizes into a butterfly. So when you are changing from your lower vibrational self into your higher self, from your regular self into your godlike self, which is your higher self, which is why we call God the Most High. When you are when you go into your metamorphosis, you change, you take on new characteristics, new ways of thinking, new ideologies, and all of that. And some people will be stubborn and want to hold you back. Everyone isn't meant to travel with you along the journey in life. Some people come into your life only for a season. Some people come to teach you something. Some people come to take something from you. At any rate, you have to know which people to keep on your boats, because you're all in the same boats. But there's some people they're not in the same boats. So you need to put them out. You cannot take them with you because they will only hold you back. And in fact, they will drown you. All right. So this book, The Metamorphosis or Golden Donkey, is a classic. They study this in mystery schools, okay? Like people that study esoteric things and metaphysical things, they usually read this book, and they also study it in the Masonic lodges. So if you haven't bought that book, you would like to read it. I'm sure if you're interested in these things, it would do you well to read it so you can gather more information on this topic. Willpower. The theme of autonomy and self-improvement is strongly inspired by the Gnostic Masonic teachings. Spiritual salvation is something that must be deserved through self-discipline, self-knowledge, and self-power. I want you to pay attention to the main words that they use. Self-discipline. That means do it yourself. Don't wait for someone else to try to discipline you or teach you to be disciplined. Discipline yourself. Self-knowledge. Well, self-knowledge means, you know, the Bible says, study to show thyself approved, right? And I always tell you all, don't just listen to what people tell you. Read and research things for yourself, because it's better to know what you know than to know what you were told. And that goes for me or anyone telling you anything. Always research it yourself, all right? Because if you research things for yourself, then you know that you have the right information. Sometimes people give you misinformation. And the key word in knowledge is know. So you would rather know things. Also, you need to have willpower. If you go through life and your willpower is weak, you will fall into all types of nefarious things. You know, you can't stay focused on the big picture. You will not operate in a high vibration. You will be easily swayed, distracted, stressed, worried, and thinking about mundane things that will get you nowhere. So you want to always be productive and constructive, never destructive. And in doing so, you must have and use your willpower. Remember, the Most High gives us free will. So you want to use willpower because you want to be able to sustain from things that are not good, healthy, or beneficial for and to you. And that means not allowing other people who are doing nefarious things, who are engaging in all kinds of practices that are no good. You don't want to entertain those people. You don't want to engage them. You can feed them from a long-handled spoon. as our, ancestors would say, as the grandparents would tell you. Feed them from a long-handled spoon. You don't have to cut them off completely, but see them for who they are, know who they are, and know how to handle them. And don't let them handle you or persuade you or distract you. Now, the author who wrote this story of Pinocchio, in 1881, the first episode of his famous fable was published in the first issue of the Giornale per Bambina, progenitor of the children's magazines with the title Storia de un Pupatino. All the episodes would have been collected 2 years later in 1883 in a volume entitled The Adventures of Pinocchio. Claudius was he lived a fairly normal life. If one excludes the ambivalent relationship with censorship. You see, they were trying to censor him. I want you to pay attention. Now, Beatzilla said that ScrewTube was messing with this feed. Yes, they're messing with this because they don't want this information getting out. They don't want you knowing these things. They don't want you to awaken from the slumber. They would do anything and everything in their power to hinder you because they want to keep you slaves on the plantation. Now, even in his day, in the 1880s, he was censored. Okay? Claudius' life was a fairly normal life if one excludes the ambivalent relationship with censorship and the fact that he was most likely a Mason. It's another reason they wanted to censor him, because you are not supposed to be telling any of the secret rituals or any of the things that go on with the Freemasons. You are not supposed to tell that. In fact, there was a man that I read about years ago. His name was William something. I can't recall his last name off the top, but he wrote a manuscript telling all of the things that went on behind the scenes as it pertained to the secret society of the Masons. And he was arrested. I forget what the charge was, but they arrested him. And then they say the Masons came and bailed him out, and they took him and threw him in Niagara Falls. That's how the story goes. So more likely than not, if he was telling these things and he was divulging these truths, they didn't want him telling this. And can you imagine? They don't want you telling these things in 2021. So you can imagine what they were saying about these things being told in 1881. Okay? So that is still crazy. And this is how you know this is all pertinent and relevant information, because they try to hide it. No one ever sat down and started, wait a minute, Pinocchio? We thought these things are just fairy tales, just stories for children to be entertained by. No, these stories teach life lessons. They have meaning and esoteric meanings. And this story of Pinocchio, as I told you, is absolutely about your pineal gland, i.e. your third eye. And Pinocchio's travel and journey throughout the story was all of the things that we go through in life. Think about it. You have friends. They call it peer pressure. When friends try to encourage you and persuade you to do nefarious things. When they say, oh, yeah, let's go get drunk. Oh, let's go to the strip club. Oh, let's go smoke some weed. Oh, let's go do drugs. You have people that always try to get you into participate in nefarious things or things that you know are not productive and that you shouldn't be doing. But sometimes we fall to the pressure. And so peer pressure, like the cats and the fox represented in the story. Then you have people who lie all the time. They lie about themselves. They embellish stories. They omit facts by lying by omission. There's some people who just don't want to tell the truth. There's some people who lie to get clout. There's some people who lie because they want recognition. There's some people who lie because they're ashamed of who they really are. And so therefore, you have the lies just being told and told. And in the story, the way Pinocchio's nose grew every time he told a lie, let me tell you something, that is very realistic, because you realize that the more you lie about something, the bigger the lie gets. Okay? You tell a lie, and then the next thing you know, you have to tell another lie to cover up that lie, and then you have to tell another lie to cover up that lie. And especially if you're talking to someone like the Queen, who's very interrogative, I ask numerous of questions, especially if I think someone's BSing or whatever. And so the more you lie, the more lies you have to tell. So the lie grows and grows and grows, just like Pinocchio's nose, okay? And you cannot be content with yourself, because you know that all these things you're living and saying are not true. You can only be content with yourself, free of worry, free of fear, free of low vibrational things, when you rise into your godlike self. And let me tell you all something. The next dimension that we are entering as a people, the next dimension, the next level that we're entering into, you will be void of fear. You will be void of low vibrational things. You will be void of all types of evil, wicked, nefarious things. That is why some people on this earth right now, they will not be here. They will cease to exist. Because in this new world, in this new realm, in this new dimension that we will enter, all of those nefarious things will no longer exist, okay? There will only be gods, all right? So with that all being said, that's why people know that their time is up and they are quite butthurt, bent out of shape, and pressed, okay? Pay attention. So these have been your lifelines, people. And I want you to think on these things. And if you, have missed some of these live streams, please go back and watch them. Because I have told you numerous of times, we are in fact engaged in spiritual warfare. All of these videos I do, these are your lifelines. You have to be raising your vibrational frequency. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And they come to lower your vibrational frequencies by fear-mongering, by constantly trying to, show you the death of a people being attacked consistently and persistently. And I'm talking about Black people, right? When you see images of Black people being slaughtered, killed, and no one's getting any type of consequences for it, there is no justice. That's low vibrational. And this is all done by design. This is all done on purpose. They want to lower your vibrational frequency. And you should ask yourself, why is it okay that for different, platforms, social media, such as YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, why is it okay for them to show Black people being slaughtered by racist race soldiers in the streets? And they have these videos up and they don't take them down. But if you say certain things, just say them, not even show them. But if you say certain things on your channels, they will remove your channel, take down your videos and all of that. But yet they let the slaughter of Black people continue to be seen. And I want you to also pay attention to the fact that the few times that we have seen white people killed by the police, or we heard of it, that they were killed by the police, one thing we didn't see is the images of them being killed by the police on all these social media outlets, okay? Thank you, Terry, for your contribution, beloved. So with that all being said, you have to pay attention to these things, because at the end of the day, the enemy is trying to lower your frequency. They're trying to make you weak. You see, you weaken people mentally and spiritually. You can notice that some things that you worry and stress about, they actually start to kill your spirit. They start to eat away at your spirit, chip away at it. This is what sends people into depressed states of minds and beings. This is what makes people start contemplating suicide, okay? And with that all being said, this is a very demonic energy. And these people are trying to raise a demonic energy, and they're trying to put it upon you and me. All right? So pay attention. They don't want you to know these things. They don't want you to hear these things. They don't want you to be ready and prepared at all times for spiritual battle. Because the battle, the spiritual warfare, this battle will not be fought with guns and knives and bombs. It will not be fought with that. You need not worry about those things. It will be fought with the power of the mind, with a higher consciousness, your higher self, with your godlike self. When you're in your godlike self, it doesn't matter what the enemy brings. No weapon formed against you will ever prosper. That's what you need to remember. Okay? That's what you need to remember. The enemy doesn't want you to know that. They want you to be fearful. They want you to feel defeated. They want you to feel hopeless. But don't do it. Because at the end of the day, you will be the victor. The battle has already been fought and the battle has already been won. The outcome has already been predicted. And so no matter what they do, try as they might, they will not escape what has already been destined and determined for them. Okay? With that all being said, I want to thank you all for tuning back in once again to Queen Ahmadiyyah TV presents More Than Meets the Third Eye. Make sure you get your spiritual vitamins daily. I'm going to be going live every day this week talking about this information, these different informations that you need to know. And if you've missed the videos, please try to go back and you can binge watch them at your leisure or whatever. But these are things that we all need to know, okay? And I do this channel for a reason, to raise our vibrational frequencies, because we talk about racism, police killings of unarmed Black people. We talk about these low vibrational things, and sometimes that can get you down in your spirit. And I want you to always be high in spirit, vibrating high. Now, we have to talk about those low vibrational things because we have to bring attention and awareness to them, and we have to be cognizant of them, and we have to realize who the enemy is and what the enemy is capable of. That's why I talk about those things. But at the same time, you need to know what you are capable of. And you are capable of greatness. You are capable of victory. You are capable of unity. And you are capable of being the gods that you are meant to be. Psalm 82:6 says, "Ye are all gods, for ye are born of the Most High." And I'm going to conclude this broadcast on that note. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please like and share this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Click the notification bell, click the word all. Make sure that you check, if you haven't been receiving notifications, make sure that you double check to make sure you're still subscribed. Don't forget to follow the Queen on Instagram at Queen Ahmadiyyah. Also on Instagram at divine_goddess_27. On Brighton and Patreon at Queen Ahmadiyyah. On Twitter at dgoddess27. All right. So with that all being said, I want you all to stay high vibrational and make sure that you tune black in at 6 p.m. today on Authentic Black Goddess TV or the Queen Ahmadiyyah TV show to get your daily vitamins. All right. Don't miss a single dose, people. Until next time, Royal Family, I will talk to you all again soon.